and welcome back to Indian Standard Time. I'm Jyoti Malhotra from the Tribune, and today on this show, I discuss the three most interesting stories of the day, and none more interesting than the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, the Pakistani-American accused in the Mumbai attacks. One of the two accused, actually, dear viewer. The other is David Headley, who the Americans refused to get back. He's in a jail in Chicago. But Tahawwur Rana is finally being extradited from the US to India. He will arrive in a special plane in early hours of tomorrow morning. Two jails in India are being readied for him. And many of you, dear viewer, I'm sure your mind has already gone back to those dark hours of November 2008 when 174 Indians were killed in the Mumbai attacks. 10 Pakistani terrorists who landed in Mumbai, on the shores of Mumbai, and made their way towards the Gateway of India and to the hotels, to the Taj, the Oberoi, to the Leopold Cafe, all of them in the same area. 174 Indians killed, about 20 foreign nationals, as well as about 20 Indian security men. Today I speak to Manish Tewari, the Congress MP from Chandigarh, who has also been very deeply interested in foreign affairs, and I ask him why it's taken so long for the Americans to extradite Tahawwur Rana from the US to India, and why David Headley is still in an American prison. Mr. Tewari, I want to start by asking you about Tahawwur Rana, the Pakistan-American accused in the Mumbai attacks. It's been 17 long years. The attacks took place in 2008. Why has it taken so long for the American government to extradite him to India?
Well, Jyoti, you ask a very good question, but the answer really lies with the American authorities as to why it has taken such a long time for them to hand over this Pakistani-Canadian national who has been in their custody. Now, if I remember correctly, going back to 2009, they also have David Coleman had been in their custody. Yes. And obviously, it doesn't seem to have been any movement insofar as handing him over is concerned. But suffice to say that Tahawwur Rana's extradition to India would help unravel as to who the real conspirators of the 26/11 attack in Pakistan really were. Mm-hmm. Because if you rewind back to that period, after the 2003 ceasefire with the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee going to Kashmir and talking about Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat and Kashmiriyat. Yes. That was actually the best phase in the Indo-Pakistani relationship, which then Dr. Manmohan Singh picked up the baton. Your government, Mr. Tewari, it was when you were in power in 2008 that the Mumbai attacks took place. And there's so much material that has come out since then, including what former National Security Advisor Shiv Shankar Menon said, which is that the Manmohan Singh government debated whether India should strike back at Pakistan, but then you took the decision not to do that. Is that correct? You see, it is the reason why I was alluding to that period between 2004 and 2007 is because this was the bright spot in the relationship. And going by all the material which is available in the public space, if David Coleman had started his reconnaissance in 2006 itself, with regard to which are the locations where these perpetrators would carry out their dastardly deeds, it begs the question as to why was this operation green-lighted at a point in time when even the Lal Masjid attack and the lawyer strike in Pakistan had not taken place. What really was the rationale of putting this attack in the works? And so therefore, Tahawwur Rana's extradition may perhaps shed light as to what really was happening, who the conspirators, who the perpetrators were. Because there's another very interesting sequence of events, which I have mentioned in my book, 10 Flashpoints, 20 Years, National Security Situations that Impacted India, that Musharraf resigns on the 18th of August 2008. This attack takes place on the 26th of November 2008. And obviously, this attack had been in the works for quite a while, because obviously the kind of training which must have gone into it, the logistics. And so therefore was then President Musharraf aware of what really was happening on his watch? Or was it the ISI which was acting through its semi-state proxies on its own? So therefore, there are a lot of unknowns still with regard to what exactly was the motivation, and what really was the rationale for green lighting this attack, when ostensibly the India-Pakistan relationship was in what is called its best phase between 2004 and 7.
But would you not say that that was precisely the reason? And by the way, the Lal Masjid attack had taken place by July 2000. No.
It happened in the April of 2007.
Yeah.
So therefore,
but would you not say that that's precisely the reason? Perhaps, I mean, of course, we're second guessing, and even though you say you were not in government in UPA 1, you were very much part of the party and very much an insider. So would you say that it was because the India-Pakistan relationship was going so well that perhaps the Pakistani military establishment did not want it to go so well? Would you say that with the force of
frankly, Jyoti, I do not know. And as a lawyer, I do not try and second guess any crime which has taken place, because ultimately, till the time there is hard evidence which points in a particular direction, and that is the direction in which one should go. And so therefore, that's why I'm saying that with Tahawwur Rana's extradition, some of these facets, which unfortunately still remain in the realm of darkness, may finally start coming out.
So why do you think it's taken so long for him to come back to India, for the extradition to take place?
Well, you ask a very interesting question, and I frankly do not have an answer to that, because I have not really applied my mind as to how the extradition process in the US works. Obviously, the request must have been made very far back, and they must have gone through the US legal system. And even now, I think there was some kind of an appeal which was made to the Supreme Court, the US Supreme Court, to issue an emergency writ, which the US Supreme Court declined to do, which paved the way for this extradition. So let's wait and see. And eventually, the NIA, which is the investigating agency, or which is the nodal agency, would obviously question Mr. Tahawwur Rana, and then file a charge sheet based upon whatever they learn.
So let me ask you another question, Mr. Tewari. The question is that back in 2008, do you think that your government, the Congress government, whether it should have attacked Pakistan or not, retaliated? Because the Mumbai attacks, are the sort of, at least in recent memory, is perhaps the most grievous injury done to India from Pakistan.
As Foreign Secretary, as he was then, Shiv Shankar Menon, and even Mr. M.K. Narayanan, who was the National Security Advisor, have written fairly extensively explaining as to why they chose a particular course of action. Well, that's the course of action that they chose. Now, in hindsight, you can say whether that was the right course of action.
What do you think?
Well, I don't think it is very easy to try and second guess a decision which must have been made under certain circumstances without fully knowing what those circumstances really were. And so therefore, it is for the dramatis persona who were involved in the decision-making process really to try and come out and articulate as to what the rationale was.
No, but the question, Mr. Tewari, is that in 2019, when it was Prime Minister Modi who decided to retaliate, and for the first time, missiles struck inside Pakistan, and that, in a sense, was that the people of India responded very positively towards, because it was, now you can argue whether an eye for an eye is going to make the world blind or not. But this was something that the people felt that the Congress government should have also done back in 2008. Right.
Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh and his government took a certain decision at that point in time that we will follow the diplomatic route. We will isolate Pakistan internationally. We will, try and get the terror organizations operating in Pakistan, proscribed and put on the UN entities list. And they were successful in doing that. That's an approach which they adopted. Conversely, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he was confronted with a different situation in Pulwama, again a terror attack, decided that he would have a kinetic response to it. So therefore, now to kind of sort of try and put the two together and extrapolate from there as to why a then government did not do what a successor government did, I don't think it's a very fair line of questioning, because the reasons for a particular decision having been taken and action in a particular manner are now all in the public space.
Okay, my last question to you, Mr. Tewari, is about David Headley, the other prime accused in the Mumbai attacks. He is sitting in a Chicago prison. He obviously has done a deal with the Americans, which involves them not extraditing him to India. Do you think that, basically India has no option but to agree? Or how do these things work in the complicated world of international diplomacy?
Well, as I understand it, David Coleman Hadley, like Tahawwur Rana, has been sentenced to a long jail term, 35 years or something, if I remember correctly from the top of my head. But if that jail term did not stop the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, then it should not stop the extradition of David Coleman Hadley also. Suffice to say that Tahawwur Rana's extradition may finally start shedding light on what really was the motivation and who were the dramatis persona in Pakistan who were directly involved. How high did the food chain go? Was President Musharraf also in the loop on this? And if President Musharraf was in the loop, hypothetically speaking, then it was a very strange tango which was happening. It was almost like a Kargil redux. That on one hand, you have the Lahore process in play, and on the other hand, you have Kargil. And here you have 2004, 2007 process in play. And you also had the planning for a terror attack. So I think whatever will emerge in the course of the next couple of weeks will give us a better understanding of this most dastardly terror attack, which actually tore the soul of India asunder.
Mr. Tewari, thank you so much for speaking to the Tribune. Our second story on Indian Standard Time, dear viewer, is a good news story. And this is the promise of 6,500 visas by the Pakistani government to Sikh and Hindu pilgrims to celebrate Baisakhi and the Khalsa Sajna Divas in Pakistan across the historic Sikh shrines of Pakistan, whether it's Nankana Sahib, Panja Sahib, as well as other religious places, including in Lahore and elsewhere. Now, this is really interesting because this is the first time in 50 years that the Pakistani government has opened up and is allowing so many Indian citizens in one go to come to Pakistan. Now, the question you would ask yourself, dear viewer, is why? Why is the Pakistani government being so generous, opening up the borders, letting Indian citizens come in? Why is it doing this? And there's one answer to that, which is that the Pakistanis are beset with so many problems at home, unfortunately, that they are trying to sort of distract attention to the world, especially in India, to say, we are opening up, welcome you all to come to Pakistan. Now, of course, we are not being churlish about that. I think it's a great move that the Pakistani government is opening up and and basically encouraging people-to-people ties. I'm sure that the Indian government will, when things get better, also reciprocate this measure. After all, people should not really come in the way of the problems that government have, and vice versa. If governments have problems, they must be able to sort it out with each other. Terrorism is a big problem. Pakistan continues to sponsor terrorism, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. And we know that in the last several months and weeks and days, many people are still, encounters are still taking place. People are still being killed and still being injured. So that gambit of Pakistan to injure or to affect India, to damage India by 1,000 cuts, that strategy by the Pakistani ISI and the Pakistani military establishment has certainly not been given up. So on the one hand, you have the Pakistani government, which is opening up and encouraging people-to-people measures, like inviting 6,500 Indian pilgrims to go to Pakistan. But on the other hand, you have the Pakistani ISI as well as the military establishment that is refusing to give up its old tricks. Now the question is, how do you marry the two? For the moment, Sikh pilgrims and Hindu pilgrims are going to be visiting Pakistan in April to celebrate Baisakhi and the Khalsa Sajna Divas. And that, at least for the moment, is a good step. Our third story today on Indian Standard Time, dear viewer, is a bit of a look back. It's both foreign affairs as well as nostalgia. And this is about the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Tibetan Buddhism's most beloved and sacred and religious leader. Now, he turns 90 years old in a few months, but the 31st of March marked the 66th anniversary of his flight from Tibet, from Lhasa in Tibet to India. And the Dalai Lama himself in Dharamshala today expressed his gratitude to about 300 Indian citizens, trekkers, monks, security people, who commemorated that arrival, that flight of his from Tibet to India, where he has lived these past 66 long years. The Dalai Lama expressed his gratitude, and I read, and he said that, "I'm very moved to know that 300 people have embarked on a freedom trail, retracing the 6-day journey I made in 1959. I clearly remember those days and the feeling of relief and freedom I felt as we reached India, and how reassuring it was to be given such a warm welcome wherever we went." So this march by about 300 trekkers starts in Kinzamane and ended in Tawang, which is the birthplace of the 6th Dalai Lama. So these connections between India and Tibet, certainly Tibet very much part of the People's Republic of China today, but history tells us that these very strong connections, these very strong bonds between the Indians and the Tibetans will always be alive and well. And to the Dalai Lama, to whom we pay our deepest respects and to our utmost gratitude that he chose India, to come to India, to live here these last 66 years. And we hope that he will continue to have a very long and happy and fulfilling life, giving us his blessings. And before I go, dear viewer, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe to the Tribune's YouTube channel to tell me what you think of this video, Indian Standard Time, as well as all the other videos from the Tribune's multimedia stables. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.